Welcome everyone for our third session of Travel Diaries. And initially, आम्ही लेकिन के alternate Sundays दौरचे, but because of its lot of popularity and many people messaged us and pinged us that they are so much interested, they would like this every Sunday. And also many people also wanted to present because people have been traveling a lot over the past years, and now people are bound home, so they would like to travel along with everyone. So this time we have in our travel diary session, we have Neeta Baintur presenting Under the Tuscan Sun. She's going to present Tuscany and Cinque Terre. So I'll hand it over to Neeta to commence the session.
Okay. Let me know when you can see my screen. This way? Okay. Okay, so, first off, I want to congratulate Kedar and Preeti on doing such a great job in keeping our community connected and engaged and with so many innovative ideas. So Preeti and Kedar, thank you. And also thank you all for joining me on this virtual road trip to Cinque Terre and Tuscany. So, before I start, I wanted to actually share a few things that, have helped us over the years, and also, things that we've learned over the years. So Ashwin and I both love to travel. And, early on, we decided that we would, see the world before we retire. A lot of people, plan to travel after they retire, but I think you need to start really early and see everything before you retire, because you never know how your health is going to be as you age. So that's one of the resolutions we made up front, that we'll see everything before we retire. And you know what, we've actually done that. So we've been fortunate. So the other thing we decided was we would take at least 2 trips each year, one kind of long and one, which is a little smaller, where we do that around a long weekend and add a couple of days and so on. And also we said we're never going to see the same place twice. Even if we really like the place, we said there's so much to see in this world that we'll always see some place we've never been to before. So even, like Italy, for example, we've been to Italy 4 times, but on each trip, we've seen something different. So, once we did Cinque Terre and Tuscany on one trip. On another trip, we did Amalfi, Sicily, and Venice. And then on a third trip, we did Rome, Florence, and Pisa. And another trip, we did Lugano and Lake Como. So on every trip, we've seen a different part, and we've never been to the same place twice, unless, it's like London, you're passing through while on a trip, you happen to be there, that's a different thing. But we've made a conscious effort to not travel, to the same place again, even if we really enjoyed it. So that may, you may not agree with everything I say, but, I'm just telling you how we've done it. The most important thing I think we've done is to travel light, So initially, we would take one big, check-in bag with us for each one of us, and one carry-on bag. And then, somewhere along the line, I happened to see this Rick Steves Europe video. And in that, he said, if you're traveling to Europe, you shouldn't have a check-in bag. And that was the best advice I've got so far. So since then, we've been doing just one carry-on bag and one small backpack, no matter how long the trip is. I mean, we've done, up to 18 days with just one carry-on bag and one small backpack, no check-in bags, And it's just getting used to that, and that's really helped us, especially on a road trip when you're going to Italy. You shouldn't have a check-in bag. Then the fourth thing that we decided was, no matter what grade our son was in, he's going to come, we're going to take a trip. So even when he was in 11th grade or 12th grade, I know some people say, oh, my kid is in 11th grade, so we're not going to travel this year because it's an important school year. But, of all the books in the world, the best learning comes from the pages of a passport. So even if our son was in high school, he came along with us. Of course, I'm not saying they should miss school. We did, we worked around his vacations and traveled when he was in school. But, no matter what grade he was in, we traveled. Then the next thing I would say is try all kinds of trips, because each one has the pros and cons. So for example, escorted tours you might do, when you want to see a lot of countries, or, really big countries, like you want to see Australia and New Zealand and combine it, or you want to see China and Japan and combine it, you might do an escorted tour. Ocean cruises are good if you don't like packing and unpacking. Escorted tours can be really hectic because they wake you up early morning. You have to pack and unpack as you move from one place to another. Ocean cruise, on the other hand, there's no packing and unpacking. So it's if you're doing Mediterranean, for example, ocean cruise is the best. River cruises, if you want to do the Danube and, Eastern Europe, that works well there. And then self-guided train trips. For example, if you're doing Switzerland, best way to see Switzerland is by train. And then road trips work for things like, Tuscany, which are not very accessible. The little villages that in the countryside, they're not really accessible any other way other than, renting a car. So try all kinds of trips, because each has the pros and cons, and, you get to see a different part of the world with each kind of trip. Then be your own travel agent, because I've seen that half the fun is in planning the trip. The excitement that builds up, even before you start on that journey, looking up TripAdvisor, looking up booking.com, and, reading reviews and what's worked for other people and not. There's so much online resources that, planning the trip itself is a lot of fun. Then, wear comfortable shoes. Take a pair of really comfortable shoes that you've tried, and you've got to walk at least 10,000 steps. Ashwin and my son says we are wimps, but we do like 20 to 30,000 steps a day, and that's the best way to, get a feel for a place. So, get a pair of good walking shoes and walk around and see the place. Then I would say buy travel insurance, especially if you have aging parents. And, this has really worked for us. Twice we had to cancel our trip, and both the times we got a full refund. InsureMyTrip.com is a great portal, because you can compare different types of insurance plans on that portal and see what's excluded, what's included. And, the other thing is read the fine print, because some insurance plans won't cover you if your parents live outside the US or Canada or Mexico. So if, once my father-in-law was sick, and luckily, I had read the fine print and made sure that it covered your, parents, even if they lived in India. So read the fine print. The other thing is pre-existing conditions. There are some policies that will cover it, some that won't. So make sure that you buy something that covers pre-existing conditions. And, again, to get that coverage, you're required to pay your premium within a week of, booking your trip. So if you booked your trip a month ago and then you buy the insurance a month later, it's not going to cover pre-existing. So there's a lot of things that you can, learn from, if you go to this InsureMyTrip.com and, compare plans. The other thing I would say is try different lodging options. There's bed and breakfast, there's chain hotels, there's boutique hotels, there are farmhouses, you can stay in Airbnb homes, or even a castle or a palace, So booking.com is one site that I found really useful, especially if you're traveling to Europe. There's excellent reviews by actual, people who've actually stayed there, and they've verified reviews that they put. So only if you booked it can you enter a review, So these are genuine reviews, and they really helped us find just the right places based on, the ratings. And then finally, I would say save a copy of your passports, your credit card info, and tickets online, so that if you ever lose something, you forget something in a restaurant, which I've done, you have all that information online and you can retrieve it. So having gone through those, things that we've learned over the years, I'll move on to, some, tips for actually driving through the Tuscan countryside. So, book your car through a well-known company like Hertz or Avis. Now, Hertz just declared bankruptcy yesterday because of COVID. But, I would say just, don't, even if it's cheaper, don't go with the smaller car rentals, because these big companies have coverage even in, if you're in a small town in Tuscany and your car breaks down, they'll come and help you. So rely on the well-known things. And you can book your car from here in the US. You don't have to, go there and get it at the airport. So book through a well-known company and make sure that your credit card covers auto insurance in Italy, because not all credit cards do. So, call your credit card company and see if they cover, so that you don't have to again buy car insurance there. Most cars are manual. So when you reserve, make sure you're booking an automatic transmission car, because if that's what you're used to, driving a manual stick shift is not very easy if you're not used to it. And then parking in most big cities is impossible. So while we were on this trip, we just stuck to, the small towns where, parking wasn't a problem. For example, Pisa or Florence were not on our itinerary when we did this trip. Because parking there would have been impossible. We had done that on another trip. But in smaller towns, parking is always outside the town. So, these small villages in Tuscany are always on the hilltop. And they usually have a wall around the town, and you have to park your car outside the town. And that is why carry-on bags are recommended. I mean, if you have a check-in bag, and I used to see all these people lugging their bags up the steep hillside, or on those cobblestone alleys, and I would say, I'm so glad that I just have this check-in bag. So again, check-in bag, it's not check-in bag, carry-on bag. So just have carry-on bags, because you'll be parking outside the towns, and then you'll be walking quite a distance to your hotel. And then finally, rental cars are not allowed in what they call ZTL zones, which is zone where traffic is limited. So, that's the Italian word for limited traffic zones. And there are a lot of those. So, and fines are pretty hefty if you happen to go in there. So those are where, only residents of those areas are allowed to take their cars. So you have to park your car, like I said, outside the town and walk in. Then, rent a Wi-Fi when you rent the car. Make sure you ask for a Wi-Fi as well, and use Google Maps. I mean, Google Maps was so useful to us, especially when you're on those roundabouts and they have 6 or 8 exits and you don't know whether it's the third one or the 6th one. And, Google Maps tells you exactly which exit to take. So that was really useful. And, they have the roads, even in the countryside, they have those little roads in Italy are all there on the Google Maps. So we relied on that throughout our trip. So this was our itinerary, for the, so actually on this trip, we, besides Italy, we also added on Bergen in Norway, and also Bruges in Brussels in Belgium. But, I'm just going to cover the first 8 days of our trip, which was Tuscany and Cinque Terre. So first 5 days was in Tuscany, and then the last 3 days was in Cinque Terre. And what we did was, a little different from how others might do it. A lot of people choose a central place like either Siena or Lucca, and then, they stay there all those 5 days, and then they might take a day trip to each of these little villages. The way we did it was we started, rented the car in Rome and drove north, and then started, doing like maybe around 4 towns each day. These are little towns which are so close to each other, you know, I mean, they're like 30 to 45 minutes from each other. So, you know, you can see at least 4 towns, 4 little villages in one day. And we decided not to stay in one place because I just wanted to try out different types of lodging. So for example, on day 1, you'll see, you know, we ended the day at Montepulciano and we stayed in a farmhouse. The second day, you know, we stayed in Arezzo, it was a castle. And then the third day, it was in Siena, it was somebody's grandmother's ancestral home. And Siena and Lucca are slightly bigger towns, so we spent, you know, the whole day in those towns. Whereas with the other towns, they are much smaller. You can, you know, see a lot more. I mean, see almost the entire town in less than, you know, in 2 or 3 hours. So then day 4, we picked a boutique hotel in San Gimignano. And then day 5, Lucca, we stayed in a medieval palace. So, you know, all these I did book through booking.com. And as I said, you can read the reviews, make sure you book in a place that's not rated less than 9 out of 10, you know, and that way, you know, it's really good. And they also have photos, you know, of each of the places, and people say what they liked and what they didn't like about the place. So that's how we picked all these places in each of these little towns. And so we drove from Rome to, the first day we drove from Rome and, you know, we went to Montalcino. But we added Montalcino the last minute because initially it wasn't in our plans, but this was a trip we took in, you know, end of May 2017, and the Obamas had just been there to Montalcino. And I said, oh, then we got to go there. So we picked that place the last minute and went to Montalcino. And then Orvieto is a real nice village. And you know, maybe I'll speak to these places as I go through the photos rather than now. So then we drove through all these places, and finally in Lucca, we returned our rental car there. So it was a one-way rental from Rome to Lucca. And then from Lucca, we took a train to Cinque Terre. So that was about 2.5 hours train journey from Lucca to Monterosso. And then, you know, you can buy a Cinque Terre pass there, which, you know, gives you unlimited travel between these 5 villages. Cinque Terre, as you know, means 5 lands. So, you know, and they're very close by. Like, I mean, by train, it's like less than 10 minutes from one village to another. So you can, you know, go back and forth multiple times if you buy a pass. So just buy like a 2-day or 3-day pass, and, you know, that works really well. So this is, you know, how, I mean, this is a map of the place, and as you can see, the villages are pretty close by. And, you know, we started in Rome, which was at the south, and then we went to, first night we stayed in Montepulciano, then the next night we stayed in Arezzo, which is not on this map here. The third day it was, I think, Siena, I forget now, Siena, and then San Gimignano, and then Lucca. And then we went from Lucca to Cinque Terre, which is these 5 villages that you see here: Rio Maggiore, Manarola, Corniglia, Vernazza, and Monterosso are the 5 Cinque Terre villages which are along the coast. So now I'll, you know, go to I'll share the photos with you. Can you see my photo of the Tuscan countryside?
Yes, Nita.
Okay, great. So, you know, this is what a typical Tuscan countryside looks. You know, I mean, you can see a farmhouse there, and, you know, you can see lots of vineyards and olive trees and so on. This is Montalcino. This was the place where I mentioned that we added it last minute because the Obamas had gone there, and I saw beautiful pictures of their trip. You know, this, again, like every other village, you have to go to the hilltop and you get beautiful views of the village below. This is Orvieto. So Orvieto, again, you park your car at the bottom of the hill. On top of the hill, there's a fortress. You take a cable car from the parking lot to the top of the hill. There's a cable car that takes you up there. It's a beautiful, and one of the most beautiful cathedrals we saw. These are, medieval cathedrals that you see. And this was, I think, some 13th century, if I believe, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure, but beautiful stained glass mosaic, just beautiful. These are little alleys there with shops and restaurants. Again, just beautiful little village. That's the front of the cathedral there. Lots of little churches, little alleys. When we were there, I don't know if this was, a daily thing or we just happened to be there on the right day, but there was a parade there with, people, and all the homes had been decorated with these yellow and red flags. And, like you can see, this is a parade that's going on. I don't know if it was there every day. Now this is, I don't know why, but these cypress trees are near the town of San Quirico d'Orcia. It's a bunch of cypress trees, and for some reason, every car stops there and takes a picture of these trees. I don't know what it is. But, so we did that too. We just stopped and took a picture of these cypress trees. But apparently they're the most photographed in trees in Tuscany. This is, again, San Quirico d'Orcia, another town with a beautiful church. And, we stopped here for lunch. We went to this little tavern and, everything was in Italian. The menu was in Italian, and the owner of this little tavern spoke no English at all. So we had no clue what to expect, but we were pleasantly surprised when we got this, lots of meat, different types of meat and bread and cheese and all that. So it was just really, charcuterie meal that we got. So really enjoyed it. Again, as I said, we do love to walk around a lot. So we explored this town, every little alley there was in that town, we walked on along those alleys. There were lots of churches everywhere. Another view of the countryside. Then towards the end of our last stop for that day, as I mentioned, was Montepulciano. In Montepulciano, this is the town on top of the hill, but we stayed at a farmhouse at the bottom in the valley. And this was the view from our room in Montepulciano. Again, that's the town there in the distance. This is, the farmhouse that we stayed in. This was at the entrance, and that's the actual farmhouse that, we stayed at. And, this was just a beautiful farmhouse that we saw while driving from our farmhouse to the top of the hill. We saw this picture and I, thought it looked like a painting. This is in the Montepulciano town. This was the cathedral there. All the cathedrals have beautiful doors that are carved. This is the tower in the Piazza Grande, beautiful tower bell there.
Munda, phone tastukal phone angasa.
And then the next day, we went to this little town called Castiglione. I'm sorry, I went out of that. Let me go back to that. So we went to this town, Castiglione del Lago, early morning, I mean, half the town was still sleeping, but we managed to find this little deli that was open. So we had some breakfast there. And this is in Arezzo. This was, where the town that we stayed at at the end of the day. Italy has really great food. We loved the food there. So lots of seafood. I mean, besides pasta, there was lots of seafood. So really good food. So this was the Arezzo. We stayed in, right at the heart of the town. And as I mentioned, we stayed in a castle there. So this is the grand plaza there, and this is the castle that we stayed in. Booked through Booking.com. Someone's asking me to maximize. Let me see if I can. Is this better? I don't know. Okay, so this was the castle that we stayed overnight in, and that's the main square in that village of Arezzo. And this was the inside of the, our room in the castle. This was the San Francisco Basilica in Arezzo. Lots of beautiful statues and sculptures there. The main square. This is in Siena, and as I mentioned, in Siena, we were staying at somebody's grandmother's home. So, this was the view from her window, and it was just beautiful. Siena, again, we walked a lot. I mean, I think we must have walked through every little alley in that town. This is the main plaza there in Siena, which has, restaurants all around. Another church, Basilica of San Francisco. And this was the Fort Medici. Another church in Siena. More of Siena. As I mentioned, the doors were just beautifully carved. And then, of course, Ashwin had to have his wine in every place. Excellent wine. I mean, every little village has their own brand of wine. This was the cathedral in Siena, Santa Maria Cathedral. Again, another beautiful cathedral. And that's the Mangia Tower that you can see between the two buildings. Another beautiful door. Another church. And that's another view of the tower. So this was a fountain in the main plaza, just beautiful. And as you can see, these two pigeons are drinking water from the fountain. It was a beautiful fountain, and it's right in the main square. So this is the town of Panzano. As we were driving, this was another town that we stopped at. And this was a little village called Castellina, and we went to a meat shop, and I just thought, the meat looked so colorful. Now this is San Gimignano, and it's, people refer to it as the Manhattan of the medieval ages. And that's because apparently there were 65 towers in its heyday in that town. And now only 13 of those remain, and you can see 4 of those towers here. So, people refer to it as the Manhattan because they look like skyscrapers from the medieval ages. This is another, alley in the town of San Gimignano. This is the main square. And this was the view from our hotel. We stayed at a really small boutique hotel, but it was really good. And all these places that we stayed at had breakfast included in the room. So they all had breakfast included in the room charge. This is the view of the vineyards from our room. This is the main road in San Gimignano. And that's the castle in San Gimignano. There was, there was a restaurant on this slope that goes up, the really busy restaurant. We had to get reservations well in advance, but it was absolutely amazing because it was up on the terrace. So at night, we were, you could sit on the terrace. They had string lights and very festive atmosphere. And, they gave us blankets to cover ourselves. And also it was just a very memorable experience. Again, as we were driving through these countryside roads, these roads are really narrow. I mean, 2 cars can't go side by side, so they, single lane roads. And if there's a car coming from the other side, you have to stop, let the car go by, and then move on. So, these are really small country roads. And again, Google Maps was really helpful finding your way around. This was a town called Castellina, and there was an underground tunnel there with lots of restaurants and shops, and I think I have a picture of that in a minute. This was the church there in Castellina. This is the underground tunnel, and as I said, there were restaurants and shops inside the tunnel there. This was a town called Greve. That's the main square in Greve. Now, the symbol for this village was the cock. Now, I hope there are no kids here looking at this picture, but I think one of the sculptors may have misinterpreted what cock meant. So, this was again the main square in Greve. The next day, as we were, driving to Lucca, we came to this town called Lago Trasimeno. We drove through it, stopped there for breakfast. That's the town of Lago Trasimeno. Then finally in Lucca, this was, as I said, we stayed at a medieval palace. This is the cathedral in Lucca. Restaurants and more churches and towers. So Lucca, as the entire town has a wall around it. And on the wall, you can, this is the top of the wall actually. So there's a road, and you can rent bikes and bike along, on the top of the wall. One sec. There's a mess someone sent me. Can you maximize the photos if they want? Oh, okay. So I guess someone's saying, can you go slower and see if there are questions. How is there a chat window where I can see if there are questions? Or maybe, Kedar, should you unmute people so that they can ask questions? I don't know. How do we do that?
So if there are any questions, you can just unmute yourself and ask the question.
Or chat window.
Or तुम्ही chat window enter करू जाता, so you can enter. There's a, if you look down, there's a chat window right here.
Question.
Hi,
Okay.
Nita. Hi, Nita. This is Arun here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a question. I just want to congratulate you on pronouncing all the Italian village names like Montepulciano and Castiglione, I hope. And also, I'm very happy that this is not a Gurukul class and you are not a Gurukul guru, because you would have given this as a homework to us and learn the pronunciation and teach it in the next class. Thank you. Anyway, congratulations.
Okay, so you know, if I was going too fast through the photos, you know, so all my albums, and not just this trip, but all my travel albums are on Facebook. You know, that's sort of my repository for all my photos. But you know, it's only visible to friends. I don't share the photos, if you know, even with friends of friends. So my settings are all only friends. So if you do want to take a look at any of the albums, you'll have to send me a friend request and I'll be glad to accept it. I generally don't accept it from people I don't know, but you know, Kauka members are our community members, and I'll be happy to accept you as friends and also to get to know you better, all of you. So, you know, feel free to send me a friend request, and I will, you know, you can go through all my albums, you know, not just this trip. And also, if you need advice on any trip, you know, on planning your itinerary or whatever, you know, and you have questions, I can tell you how we did it. It may not be the best way to do it, but, you know, I think it's worked for us, and we've learned from our mistakes as well. So, you know, we'll be happy to share our experiences. So as I was saying, this is, you know, the top of the wall in Lucca, and you can rent bikes and go around the entire wall, you know, around, or you can take those bikes into the town itself. So that's a lot of fun. Again, beautiful cathedrals everywhere. This was on top of the walls, you know, at one of the entrances. There were 4 entrances to the town of Lucca in these walls, and on top of the one of the entrances, the statue was. This is one of the entrances to Lucca. Another church in Lucca. So then we took a train from Lucca to Cinque Terre. And, you know, again, so whether it's the roads, I think, you know, when you read the reviews, I was a little nervous because they said, oh, Italian drivers can be quite rude and, you know, but we had absolutely no problem. You know, I mean, everyone was nice, you know, we didn't get lost, fortunately. Like I said, Google Maps was very helpful. So, you know, driving in Italy was absolutely no problem. But again, don't rent a car if you're planning to go to bigger towns like Florence or Pisa, because parking and those ZTL zones can be a problem there. So it's only helpful if you're going to driving to small towns in the countryside. So otherwise, just stick to trains. You know, the trains there are also very good. You know, lots of trains going from Lucca to Cinque Terre. You know, every day there were several trains. We took one of those trains. And, you know, again, we had done the reservations in advance, not from the USA. We did it after we got there. We booked the train from Lucca to Cinque Terre after we got there. And then at Lucca, we also purchased the Cinque Terre 3-day pass. which gives you unlimited travel between the 5 villages. So this is the view of, from the train as we were driving. I mean, as we were riding the train, you can see the hills there in the background. Oh, okay, this is not a picture I meant to share. I was saying my look-alike, because Luca and look-alike, So anyway, so this was the end of our trip in Tuscany. Unless there are questions, I'll move to the Cinque Terre part of it. So, let's see.
Geeta, do you recommend going at any particular time of the year?
Yeah, avoid July and August. So we went end of May, early June. It's July and August gets really hot and really crowded. So, avoid those 2 months.
Okay.
Also, things I think are hotels are more expensive. Europe's on holiday, so July and August, no. So I know it's, again, our son was not with us on this trip because he was already out of, he'd moved out and, he was out of college working. After that, he traveled with us until he was in high school. So we could go when schools were open, once he was out of our home, we had the flexibility of going at any time. So we went end of May, early June, and it was really nice.
Thank you.
So this is Monterosso, which is the biggest of the 5 villages in Cinque Terre. And, this is where we stayed. And I found this really nice bed and breakfast place. It wasn't in the downtown, actually. It was a little away from the main area. But the bed and breakfast there arranged, they had a complimentary shuttle which would, take us to the downtown. So actually we would walk down because it was on top of a hill. The bed and breakfast was on the top of the hill. But so coming down to the center was easy. It was a downhill thing. But going back, we'd wait for the shuttle. They had a shuttle every hour. The shuttle was actually a private taxi that they had arranged from downtown to the hotel on the hour. So, that worked really well. So this is the bed and breakfast that we stayed at. It was the cutest place, and let me show you the view from this place. That's the view from our room. I'm standing in front of the room, so you can see the ocean up there. And every morning they would arrange, so this was our welcome snack. As soon as we got there, they had outside our room, they had laid out a welcome snack for us. And then this was the inside of the room. Very small. It had, I think, just 6 rooms in the bed and breakfast place. Okay, and here, Italian guys are really gorgeous guys, right? So when we finally got to Cinque Terre, I said, ciao, Ashwin, and I found this good-looking guy named Giovanni, and that's who I spend the rest of my Cinque Terre trip with. So that's me with Giovanni. So that's the breakfast that we were having. Every morning the bed and breakfast owner would lay out, the spread, great spread of, fruit and pastries and, everything, orange juice, and it was just beautiful. And you could sit there and look at, take in the views.
You look very happy with Giovanni.
Yeah, there he is again. Yeah, so this was, again, I can give you the name of the place that we stayed at. I highly recommend it if you go there. And that was the view from, the top of the hill. You can see the main town there. that's another view from where we were staying down to the main town. And that's, once you come down to the main town, that's along, you can walk there. There are lots of shops selling, trinkets and jewelry and arts and crafts. And the water is just clear. I mean, it was just beautiful. So, there are lots
can
of...
you just,
yeah.
Can you, on the picture top right, top right, there is an arrow. Can you click on that? Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, so I was saying there are lots of trails in Cinque Terre where you can hike. There was, actually there was one trail, unfortunately, that we were planning to do, which we realized that has been closed since 2012. There was a mudslide there, and that hike, part of that hike was closed, and it still hasn't opened in, since 2012. They haven't been able to, but I heard that they're opening it next year. I think it's been cleared. So 2021, they plan to open that trail, which goes along the coast. It goes to all the 5 villages. You can hike along the coast to all the 5 villages. We weren't able to do that because it was closed, but we did a few other hikes. So in Monterosso, there's a hike from the city center all the way up to the top of one of the hills where there's a church and a cemetery. And that was a beautiful hike. And, that's when we took this picture. On the way, on that hike, while we were on that hike, we took this picture. This is, again, as we were going up, we, stopped and took more pictures going up to that cemetery. This is in the cemetery from while we were there. We took a picture from there, looking down on the town there. This is the second village, which is called Corniglia, and it's the smallest of the 5. In fact, there's just this one main road, and then there's little alleys that, go across perpendicular. But this was the smallest one among the 5. This was Manarola, another, the third village, beautiful town. That's Giovanni and Giulia. Another, view of Manarola. This is another view of Rio Maggiore, which is, the 5th town. Another view of Rio Maggiore. This is also Rio Maggiore. And, as I mentioned, these towns are pretty close to each other. Like, by train, they're like 10 minutes apart. And the frequency of the trains is really good. So, you just wait there at the station, and within a few minutes, there's another train that comes by. So you can go up and down as many times as you want. And then, besides these 5 towns, at the end, at one end, there's a town called La Spezia, and then there's another town at the other end called Levanto. So, which are also very nice towns, and we visited those as well. So, I'll show. Yeah, this is this is Vernazza, which is the 5th village in Cinque Terre, Vernazza. This is La Spezia. This is La Spezia again, a beautiful town. The marina there. This is Levanto. Oops. Yeah, this is Levanto again. Levanto.
Neeta, do the locals speak English?
Yeah, they speak broken English. It's not, I mean, you can get by with English. They, except like I said in Tuscany, you know, when we were in the little villages, people there didn't speak English. But Cinque Terre, we didn't have any problems as such. Only in the smaller villages, I mean, the restaurants, staff usually can speak English. It's only in the little delis or, you know, the mom and pop kind of places where some of them don't speak English.
So all these places have mostly just tourism as their economy, right? There are no other industries.
Yeah, just tourism. Yeah. Again, you know, this is clear. You can see the clear waters from there.
It's surprising that there aren't that many people in the water.
Well, like I said, you know, it wasn't July or August, but still, I mean, you can see there was still a lot of people there, even though this was June.
Yeah, here.
Yeah. And then in the end, all roads lead to Rome. So, you know, we came back and, you know, on our way back home, not home actually, we were to go to Bruges. We took a train back from Cinque Terre to Rome. We took a train and spent half a day in Rome before flying back the next day. There's one more album I'll share with you, which is actually, oh, where did I, hold on. Oh yeah, this one. I wanted to share this album with you because it's all about, you know, I call this album Italy. So it was all about the food there. You know, Italy is probably the only place where, you know, I mean, of course, Thailand and Malaysia, I like the food there, but Italy is the only place in Europe where I love the food. And, you know, everywhere, you know, the food was just great. I mean, unlike when we traveled to Norway or Switzerland, the food was so boring and bland, but we never had that problem in Italy. And as you can see, you know, it was just great food. We mainly stuck with, you know, seafood. This is octopus there. So, you know, we mainly had seafood and pasta, but this was a town called, I think, Pienza, where, you know, they had this cheese, which is very famous. It's called Pecorino cheese. So stopped at us for breakfast. When we stopped there, we had this Pecorino cheese. Again, that's, you know, the charcuterie. More food. This was in San Gimignano. This was our breakfast at San Gimignano. This was in that little tavern where we didn't, you know, the owners didn't speak any English. And then the chocolates in Siena. This was more seafood. I think this is Arezzo. Mussels. Oh, sorry. This is from Bruges, actually. I don't know how it came in this album. Again, octopus appetizers. Really good. This was cod with chickpeas and gnocchi. Tortellini filled with artichokes and lamb chops. I noted down the names of the restaurants as well, so that, you know, in case someone wanted, I have the names of the restaurants as well. Yeah, so that's it. So, you know, that's, I don't know if we have time, Kedar, because we did Bruges and Bergen on the same trip, you know, so if you want, I can do that, or we can stop now. I mean, I've covered the Tuscany and Cinque Terre part of it.
Neeta, we can continue. This is really very nice.
Okay, then I'll do the Bruges and the Bergen, which we covered on the same trip. You know, so we did 8 days here total in Italy. Then we flew to Bruges, which is in Belgium. One sec, let me see. Where did I? Oh yeah, here. So we flew to Brussels and then took a train to Bruges. Bruges is a small town which is like a fairy tale. I mean, you know, you go there. It's like the Venice. If they call it the Venice of the, you know, of the Belgium. So it's got a lot of canals everywhere. And there's 2 towns there. One is called Bruges and one is Ghent, which are very close to each other. But Bruges is the nicer one. Ghent is a little bigger. This is from Bruges, you know, and this was Belgian beer tasting. So this is where, you know, you can take a trip in a boat and go through the canal and you can see the towns. This was chocolate shops, Belgian chocolate. And you can see the chocolates in all kinds of shapes. You know, the shoes are also made of chocolate. So that's the hotel we stayed at, which was, you know, on the canal, right by the canal. It was called Hotel Van Cleef. This is in the main square. That's us taking a boat ride in the canals in Bruges. And, you know, you may have seen this town in one of the Hindi movies, which had Anushka Sharma and I forget who. I forget the name of the movie. But this town is in one of the Hindi movies.
PK, I think, PK.
Yes, yes, that's it, PK. That's the inside of our hotel, Van Cleef. And it was a boutique hotel. That's, you know, of the view from our hotel of the canal. And you can see all those, you know, houses look like doll houses. This was one of the, you know, Basilica of the Holy Blood. Okay, that's me saying a balanced diet is a glass of beer in both hands. This is in Ghent. So Ghent, as I said, is about 30 minutes by train from Bruges. It's a bigger town, and, you know, there's one part which is the old town Ghent, and then there's a new town, you know, new town which is, you know, it's like a regular any other city. But the old town is really nice in Ghent. That's Ghent again, and that's Brussels. You know, on the last day we spent the evening in Brussels, and this was the Grand Place in Brussels. That's a computerized self-serve beer tasting pub. That was our hotel in Bruges. And that's the main square in Bruges. And more of Bruges. People ride a lot of bikes there, you know, and most people get around on bikes in Bruges and Ghent. They had hot, chocolates in all kinds of weird shapes. That's more pictures of Bruges. Still Bruges.
Neeta, did you have a problem with the language there in Belgium?
No, Belgium, everyone speaks English. It's like Germany. Everyone speaks English, yeah. That's in Ghent. Again, beautiful architecture everywhere. This is Brussels. The Grand Place in Brussels. Okay, this is just me acting silly because I wanted to make faces. Making more, I don't give up a chance to act silly. So that's Bruges. And then finally, the last place we went to was, let me go to my Bergen album. So when we went to why is this thing not opening? Okay. So Bergen, there's what we did was there's this tour called Norway in a Nutshell, and it's run by the the government there runs this thing. So it's all it's not a private tour. It's not it's a government sponsor. So if you go to the tourism office, you can get your passes there. It's a self-guided tour, so it's not an escorted tour or and it's a combination of a ferry ride, a train ride, and a bus ride. So it's all three combined, and you get to go to different places. You can do this, you can spread it out over 3 days, or you can spread it out over a day, or, we did it actually in 1 day, but you have to start really early in the morning. And then, you come back late at night. It's very hectic, but, we wanted to do it that way. So we did that Norway in a Nutshell in 1 day. And so we took that, tour from Bergen. You can also do it from Oslo. So there are different ways you can do that Norway in a Nutshell. You can start in Oslo, end in Bergen, or you can do it from Oslo to Oslo, or you can do Bergen to Bergen. So we did the Bergen to Bergen Norway in a Nutshell tour. This is in Bergen. This is the fish market in Bergen. This was a railway where we took the train. It's called Flan. And this is actually the ferry ends there, and then you take a train. But we took the ferry there when on the way out. On the way back, we took the train. So we took the ferry there, and then they take you on a trip to see some glaciers. So I've got the names of those glaciers there. I don't know how to pronounce them. This is at one of the, places where the ferry stopped, and we took a hike up to a hill.
So did the weather change in 1 day? Meaning in Italy, you were wearing shirts,
Yeah.
and suddenly here you have to wear...
Yeah, true. Yes. Here, luckily though, it wasn't cold because it's still June, right? I mean, so it wasn't snowing or anything, but it was very cool. And there when you went to the glaciers and especially on that boat ride, it was cold. So yes, we did have to wear, a sweatshirt. But again, as I mentioned earlier, one carry-on bag is all we had. The backpack and the carry-on bag, and we managed just fine. That's a view from the ferry.
Lovely.
And this is in Flam again. That's again another view from the ferry. And this is from, the top of, there's a cable car that takes you to the top of the mountain. And it's called Floyen Mountain. And so we took this cable car and went up, and you get the view of the entire town from there. So there was a sign there that says no photos of the witch. So Ashwin stopped taking photos of me after reading this sign. So no more photos of me. Oh, and then, so that's why I said, oh, what? I thought the sign said no more photos of the witch. But Ashwin said that he got really excited when the troll went down on his knee and proposed to the witch. But poor Ashwin, I said, no such luck. The witch followed him back on her broomstick to San Francisco. Oh, and then I dumped Giovanni in from Italy, and then I went for Henrik in Norway. Oh, this was like an interesting, when we were going on the ropeway, there was a TV crew that, was running around, and then there were these 5, young kids that were being filmed and all that. And we had no idea who they were. And when we got into the cable car, they got into the same, car that we were in. And apparently they're big stars in China. And there was a reality show. So one of them is like a model, one is an actor, one is a singer, and so on. So, we didn't know, but we asked them, we said, what's going on? So they said, oh, we are in a reality show. And they were really nice, these 5 kids. And so then one of my friends actually, who is in Singapore, he sent me that episode. And, so I have a guest star role in that episode where they're in that cable car, and we were also filmed in that episode. It was interesting.
You should share it on Kauka.
No, I'll have to tell you, it's up this second, you looked for me in the background there. So that's it. So that's the Bergen trip, Norway in a nutshell trip that we did, and Bruges.
Very nice.
Thank you. So yeah, like I said, feel free to reach out to me if you guys have questions about the trip or, anything else.
Thank you, Neeta.
Oh, welcome. My pleasure.
Very nice. Thank you very much
for the great
Norway and
for the great travel trip.
Thank you, Neeta.
Oh, welcome.
Thanks, Neeta. I have a question.
Thank you, Neeta. Really nice presentation. Loved all the pictures. You guys look really cute, I should say.
Yeah, they do.
Amita, you were asking me something.
Yeah. So you brought back so many memories because, some of the places I literally felt, is it you or is it me? Of course, I don't look like you, so it's different. But otherwise, you brought so many memories. But my question was on Cinque Terre. I did only 3 of the villages. I didn't do, now I can't get the names, but the smallest one and Rigamore.
Rio Maggiore.
Rio Maggiore. Yeah, I didn't do those. Now, because I did it in a day, because that's, again, just like you did Bergen, I did the Norway in a nutshell, like a 5-day or a 7-day one.
Yeah.
But Cinque Terre we did in a day because I just had a day. So we did all 3 island hopping. Do you recommend going back to see the other two? Because absolutely I'm in love with Italy and the Italian coast side. I mean the coast, and you can never get tired of going again and again. But I do recommend just specifically going back.
No, like I said, Amita, I never go to the same place twice because there's so much more to see.
Yeah.
So, if you've done everything and, then you want to go back, that's a different thing. But I would
not
say
worth going back to
if
just
you've
for those
seen
two.
2 villages, I wouldn't say go back to see,
I've seen 3 of the 5.
Okay, yeah.
They're all different though.
Yeah, they're all different, but
it's
still.
not worth going back.
I wouldn't say go back just to see those 2 villages. There's,
perfect.
Again, Italy has so much more to see. I would rather you go to the Amalfi Coast or and Sicily and all those places.
No, I've done Amalfi Coast and Sicily.
Yeah.
I haven't done the Tuscan area, but Italy is always, again, there's so much and you can do. But yeah, thank you. That's great. It was great.
Hey, Neeta, I have a question too.
Yeah.
Neeta, 1 second. If you can stop sharing, then people will be able to see each other.
Sorry. Yeah.
So just curious as to why you combined those places in Italy with Norway and Bruges, because they don't seem to be located near each other.
Yeah, they're not. But like as I said, we're trying to see places that we want to see, and and once you go to Europe is not so
far,
big that you can't cover multiple countries, right? So we wanted to because we had done Scandinavia, in a cruise, right? So we did the Baltic cruise, so we had seen Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark already, but we hadn't seen Bergen, right? And Bergen we knew was beautiful. So we, wanted to include Bergen in this trip. And then again, Bruges, was a town that I wanted to see. And we hadn't been to Brussels as well. So we wanted to do Brussels, Bruges, and Ghent in one trip. And, that's how we sort of combined them. And we found, airfares that were very reasonable between Rome and Brussels to Oslo. The local airlines are very cheap.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
I just wanted to say it's a great presentation, Neeta, and I especially liked your travel tips. They're wonderful.
Like I said,
list for, if you have a packing list for your backpack plus carry on, I'd appreciate that.
The way I do is, you need, like if you're going on a 2-week trip, you have to have 14 tops, but you don't need 14 pants. You can wear the pants again. So, 1 top for each day, pack it that way. And then, you need 1 jacket, and then you need like 1 sort of formal, that looks nice that you can wear for an evening out at night, like for a date night kind of thing where you go to a nice restaurant for dinner that you can wear. So something like that. But again, and you're going to wear your sneakers, then you're, flying out, you don't want to pack those heavy sneakers in your bag, right? So you're wearing those, and, most of the time you'll be wearing that, but take 1 other pair of shoes that you can wear for your night out or whatever. So, but make sure those are also comfortable. Don't take your stilettos with you, flat.
Yeah, all the cobblestone walkway are going to get you.
Yeah, I know.
You won't believe. So on this, last year we went to Croatia, Slovenia, and there was, again, Ashwin and I just took this 1 carry-on and 1 backpack, right? But there were people with us who were carrying those big bags. And there's one lady, who came from Australia. She had 2 check-in bags just for herself, and every day she had matching shoes, matching purse.
Oh God.
That matched perfectly with her dress. I mean, she looked great, but I don't know how comfortable she was walking in those heels.
That does.
Maybe she's not a frequent traveler, so she wanted to, the one trip that she She wanted to do a really good job.
And she was surprised, when I told her, she said, "No way, you have just one check-in bag, one carry-on bag,
And still you look so good, Madam.
Oh, I don't know if I smelled that good though.
You did, I'm sure.
So Neeta, one question for vegetarians on those coastal areas, inner city, towns, villages. Is it a problem?
No, pasta and all you can get without meat, right? So yeah, Italy, it's not a problem, but Switzerland, yes, Switzerland, there was, even
Only
I had a problem
if you eat
because
cheese, it's not a problem.
If you want, isn't it?
Eat cheese, it's not a problem in Switzerland.
Yeah, Italy, as I call it, right? So Italy food is not a problem anywhere. You don't have to have meat, but with Norway again, yes, again, food was bland, and I must tell you. So in Norway, I got tired of that bland meat, right? So I managed to find this Indian restaurant in Bergen. So we went there, and this place was crowded, full of Indians. And he said, "No, I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't seat you because we just got a boatload of Indians. There's an Indian tour that came, and so he said, "I'm sorry, I can't seat you. Can you come tomorrow?" So the next day we went for lunch, early, right, for an early lunch. So we were there, and the restaurant was empty. So I got really excited. So it's like hoping he would seat us, and he says, "Sorry, ma'am, we're expecting another boatload of Indians, and
So you should have said I'm one of them."
So Indians are traveling. These are Indians from India traveling in places like off the beaten track, right? Bergen is, I guess they saw it in that, Bruges and I don't know if Bergen was in some movie, but apparently there are Indians traveling there.
I know why. They must have somebody like you telling them about it. And you did such a good job. They got excited about it.
No, but Indians are traveling everywhere. Wherever I've been, the largest ethnic community outside of anywhere is Indians and Chinese. Everywhere.
Japanese also.
Yeah.
This was mostly I saw was Chinese and from mainland China, and then Indians. Indians by the droves. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You go to an Indian restaurant. Once there was an Indian restaurant which had everyone only from Hyderabad. So it was like over 150. They were seating 150 people in an Indian restaurant. So they're traveling, which is good for, good,
Yeah. Yeah.
Kunal,
when we were young, going from one city to the next was a big travel.
Earlier, Vasant, your question here about the vegetarian food.
Yeah.
I think vegetarian food is fine as long as you like cheese. Because my sister-in-law, I think she's lactose intolerant. She's not too fond of cheese, and she had a hard time in Italy finding food that she liked.
And on top of that, if you need gluten-free, you will have to starve.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's true.
You get only one gluten-free pasta.
I remember your story, Ranjana.
Yeah, we've been to Rome. We spent like 7 days just in Rome. We had no problem. But I was not sure outside of Rome, how it is.
Yeah, there's food is not a problem at all in Italy.
Good to know.
Yeah, and you can get fish. If you eat fish, I don't know if you're a pure vegetarian or you eat fish.
Just me. It's just me, yeah. And other question I had was the travel insurance. How much is it per? Is it 10% of your travel?
No. So like I said, the travel insurance, if you go to insuremytrip.com, you can look at different companies, right? So it depends on the total cost of your trip. So, it can include your airfare, hotels, train, everything, anything that's non-refundable and all that. You can calculate what the total cost is. So it depends on the duration of your trip, the country you're visiting, and the total cost and your age.
I see.
So
I can tell you one thing. Suman is here. She arranged the whole trip for us, Italy and the Greek islands, and a cruise thrown in, 20-day trip. And she took care of everything, and it was so perfect. Beautiful hotels, everything, and insurance, everything. So she's a one-stop shop.
You know, and sometimes I would say, you know, the insurance, you might get insurance from, let's say you're on a cruise, and that cruise might offer insurance, but I would say don't buy that, because then it covers just the cruise. It won't cover the rest of your trip outside the cruise, you know. So that is why I go to this insuremytrip.com, because it covers everything, you know. And like I said, you know, you can compare different plans. And, you know, the cruise also, the one time I was considering buying insurance from the cruise, they covered only if your parents were living in the US, Mexico, or Canada. They didn't cover it if your parents were in India. So that was another reason I didn't buy from the cruise itself.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to add about travel insurance is choose a company that if you ever, God forbid that you have to, if you ever have to claim travel insurance, make sure that company is good about settling your claims, because I've had this problem with a couple of others, and so other companies than the one I use most often. So just word of caution out there when you choose a travel insurance company. Most of the time nothing happens and you're okay. You just pay the insurance, but it's gone. But so once in a while you do have to make a claim, and then you have to be sure that the company will pay you when you present the genuine claim with all the documentation.
Yeah.
And save all your receipts for anything non-refundable when you travel, so that, because they'll want all kinds of proof that about your claim.
So Suman, I've had to make claims twice, and luckily both times I managed to, you know, they paid me.
That's
both
good.
times.
That's good.
Yeah, once we had to cancel on the day we were flying out, and once a week before we flew out.
Careful about the company.
So Kedar, I don't know if anyone else has, but otherwise.
Yeah. I think no one else has any questions. So we can end here.
Thank you.
For a very awesome presentation. We really enjoyed it. And next week we will have Arun and Sheila Kalyanpur, who will be presenting Australia and New Zealand.
Oh,
so
wow.
we'll be sending this flyers for that. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Nita.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
Nita.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Good job. Bye.
Really good.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.